Hi and welcome to day 25 of Counting the Omer. Today we are in the Sephiroths of Netzach, within Netzach. And since it's day 25, I find that very helpful and supportive, because for me, when I'm at this point in the counting, I can feel sometimes the lack of endurance or the will to keep on walking through the desert towards liberation. It requires quite a lot to engage in a spiritual practice like this. It requires us to be present every day, tapping into the energies that are moving, contemplating about ourselves, releasing the patterns, the wounds, purifying the mind, the heart, the body, the soul. It requires some effort. And when we are in the Netzach, within Netzach energy, the tree of life itself and this aspect of God within gives us that strength and power, that willpower to stay on the path. I remember the last counting, one of the participants who I was walking with, because the last time I had this group with me and we were every day talking with each other and really walking together. In the end of the counting, she said to me that she was so surprised that she had the discipline and the endurance to stay in one thing for 50 days, and that empowered her so much. And it was so purifying to her. She had so many revelations throughout this journey together. And that really encouraged me as a teacher to keep on walking, bring people with me, even though it's hard some days and sometimes to be in the middle of the desert, not knowing where I'm going, just knowing that I'm moving towards something which is important to me, which is freedom, which is union, peace and harmony within, manifesting a paradise within myself so I can bring that out into the world. That's where I want to be. That's my goal. That's my mission. But it doesn't mean that some days I meet some obstacles or it just feels hard. And other days it feels like so empowering and there's no big deal sitting down with this. Today in Norway it's the National Day, so it's a big celebration. In a way, a day of victory, because we celebrate the country's liberation and freedom. And I find that so in alignment with the Netzach, within Netzach, which also means victory. So if you want a focus today, maybe you can make a short list or a long list of everything that you have actually accomplished so far. So you can sense into this feeling of victory. Wow, I really changed this pattern, or I really make this happen for myself. It's such a nice feeling when we have a goal and we move towards it and we actually make it. And And our distance can be far away. The goal can be a long, long walk in the desert. Some days or sometimes it's so much longer than 50 days. It can be 1,000 days throughout the desert. But there will be so many small victories on the way there, and it's important to celebrate them as well. And not be too fixed on the reaching point, on the goal itself, but being present in the moment and the day, because time is continuously changing things for us. Life is giving us the one opportunity after the next to liberate us, to receive wisdom from those challenges we meet. So we are walking every day. It's not just for these 50 days. What these 50 days maybe do is that they give you more awareness and you disciplinate yourself. Discipline is also an aspect of the Netzach energy. So we disciplinate us for 50 days so we can change a pattern. And to be honest, for me, when I started, this is the 3rd time I'm doing the counting of the Omer in the row now. I just had a few weeks in between them. And because I already had my spiritual practice in the morning, which has been to sit down and write for 2 hours, this wasn't that hard. Because I'm so used to sitting down and contemplating and tapping into what's going on in the universe today. How do I perceive these energies? What's happening inside me right now? What's alive in me in this moment? I sit down with that every day. So this is just adding a new layer of awareness and me focusing the energy more into certain aspects within myself. But if you've never done any spiritual practice and suddenly you're walking through the desert and it's 2, 3, 4 hours spiritual practice every day, that will feel quite hard. We need to build up the strength. It's like working with the body. It can be quite hard to change something completely from one day to the next. So making these small steps is important. It's a reason this awakening process is described as steps or a staircase towards heaven. Because you take one step and then you have to integrate it and embody that new quality. And your old patterns and wounds and ideas, they will try to bring you back to this old program. So you need to work on that step for a while, and then when you have integrated the change, integrated the trauma which kept you there, you are ready for the next step. I remember I had a dream about 2 staircases moving down, and I was on this plateau, and I knew that when I reached down there, the steps were going down, I would be home, I would be in paradise. But when I was about to walk them down, the staircases were so fragile. One was made of this cement and looked like it was thousands of years old, and I knew if I go down there, it will break. I will fall through and I will die. And the other staircase was made of this old wood, also thousands of years, and it looked like it would break anytime I walked out on it. And in between this plateau, this earth I was living on, and the next, it was just complete emptiness. You could make a drawing of that, like a line, and you stand on that line and there's a staircase moving down to the next line, and in between that there is complete emptiness and the unknown aspect. And we are so afraid of the unknown. We like to have control and know what is coming to us. But in reality, we have no idea. I do have dreams about the future sometimes though. So when something really important is going to happen and I need a warning for that, maybe it's really painful, or maybe it's an opportunity coming to me which I really need to consider. I have dreams about it sometimes. So the further we walk up or down those steps, the more we will experience that time is not as it seems to be. This idea we have that the time is lineage will start to lose its grip on us, and we see that things are going in spirals or circles and coming back to us again and again. Maybe in a little bit different ways, or because we are spiraling around the sun and the other planets are doing the same thing. And we are the universe. So when their position change, we go through the same topic all over again, just with slightly different aspects or new insights. And this is how I also perceive this counting of the Omer and the Tree of Life. We are walking through the same sephiroths again and again, but just with slightly different energies, because we are moving through the Tree of Life. And yesterday we were in Netzach and the Tiferet within Netzach. We have been in this bridge before, but then we were in Tiferet and the Netzach was within Tiferet. So it's slightly different when we are in Netzach and the Tiferet is within the Netzach. Isn't that interesting? And when you look at the Tree of Life and remind yourself that all the sephiroths also is kind of linked with the planets and the zodiac system and the 7 star sisters, the Pleiades, and then it becomes quite huge and vast. But there's so much potential there, because if you're curious enough, you will start to read about the sephiroths and which planet is this talking about, and how is this planet working within my chart, and is this in alignment with how I move through the counting of the Omer. There is so many possibilities here. And if you want to look into the astrology, when we are in Netzach, it can be really interesting to look into the North Node in your birth chart. Because that is the guiding star, it's the direction you are meant to move towards. And for me, that is the Cancer, the zodiac sign Cancer, which means my mission and my direction in life and my biggest lessons is about relationships, establishing a safe environment for myself and my children and my partner. It's about partnership in many ways, learning about protection, learning about boundaries. And when I found this, I was like, yeah, well, of course, this is so true to me. It's so right. So there's so many things we can learn while we are walking through the deserts. So it's really up to you how you want to encourage yourself. I was reminded today also about when I was applying for the police school academy, because believe it or not, I'm educated as a policewoman here in Norway, and that's a 3 years education, and I also studied some criminology on the university before that, so I was very disciplined, and I knew from I was very young that I had to become a policewoman. I've never understood why until this autumn, actually, where I remembered a past life and I understood I had to become a policewoman to harmonize some karma that I created in my past life as a policeman, where I did something that made me feel so sad and I knew that I had done something wrong that caused so much suffering for a woman, that I wanted to come back and do it in a different way and make it good again. And sometimes we know something, but we can't really understand why we know. So right now I'm on this twin soul journey. I know where I'm heading. I know this feeling inside. It's so important that I release all trauma and wounds that's there between me and the masculine, because this is somehow my mission. But I don't know why. Or I'm starting to have an idea about it, because this is truly about coming into union with all and bringing that into the human consciousness, because we have not been living in union with each other, man and woman. There's so much challenges between the man and the woman, and the families are suffering of divorces, and we are just creating so much trauma in family constellations that we are just walking in circle. So of course someone has to come in and change that if we want to bring this earth into a new earth. So I understand why I'm here on that mission, but some days I'm completely lost and like, come on, God, why does it have to be so hard? Do I really have to lift every rock, every heavy rock? Do I really need to pull out all the weed? Really? Why can't I just enjoy? And then I let go and I release and I wait until the next feeling of encouragement and endurance comes back to me. And then I'm just right back on the path, knowing exactly where I'm going, but I don't know what will come the next day or the next moment. So it's the constant reminder to bring myself into the moment, into what's alive in me right now, and how the energy of the day is giving me an opportunity to release my personality, my wounds, my traumas, past life traumas, to bring myself into oneness with God, with the higher self, with that love, that river of love that continuously flowing through me. And today I set an intention for myself, as this is a special day with a lot of celebrations. I'm going to meet so many people today. And I was sitting down this morning to write and contemplating, what is my intention for today? What's important on a day like this? And it brought me into the intention that I want to make, or at least have that energy that people will feel loved and accepted for who they are when they talk with me. So I can kind of be this honeybee pollinating some people's heart today. Not by forcing anything, but just by being who I am and listening to people. Look into their eyes and sense into my own heart when I do that, and say within my mind, I see you, I feel you. You are deeply loved by God, by your angels, by your spirit guides. And if I have that intention within my heart, when I talk with someone, I know I can change that person's or that person feeling in the moment. Not to manipulate anything, but for me it's important to set an intention for myself sometimes, just to get my mind in the right direction. So maybe that was some sort of inspiration towards you. On this day, we are halfway there. And it can feel quite hard sometimes when we are at day 25, that there's still 25 days left. But maybe you can just focus on this day. What's the goal and intention for today? And remind yourself why you are doing this. Okay, I will end it now because I'm going to a breakfast celebration at 8 o'clock. I was up at 5 to do my practice and to bake a cake. So I'm early bird today. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Find the endurance and the strength, the discipline, and the joy and the victory in that. Amen.